sounds great. It's been a while. So that recording actually cut out because my phone was full. I take a lot of images as well as I take a lot of video recordings as time goes on, and I'm always forgetting to upload. So everyone knows I recently became a student. This has been quite the adventure for me because it has been many years since I've had an education. Now the issue is here that I tried to upload quite regularly, but because life, got me by the guts and a lot of things have happened, I tended to kind of drift away from the whole YouTube thing for a while. One of the things that happened was, as I mentioned in my last video, I started Thai infusions. And it's been great because I'm finally getting treatment for my disease, which is, as I mentioned before, multiple sclerosis. The version of the type I have, rather, is relapsing remitting, which means I have moments of remittance, which can last months, years even, but then I have a relapse, or as I like to call it, a flare-up, because that is when my symptoms get worse. Now, the first time that I had a major flare-up was in 2016 when I was actually diagnosed. And I had one this year. It was out of 2 years of remittance. It was after I got an infection from my motorbike crash. And then after that, all I had to do was get a very small infection in my throat, some kind of tonsillitis, and that was it. My body had enough. And then I got a cold after that, and my symptoms flared up just a little bit, which caused some issues with my eyes, but they got better. Now, I've been on Thai for my third treatment I had just a few days ago. Now, there is an issue with it, is that it really messes with my head. It causes some really bad depression. Now, this has caused some issues for me. I felt like I was disconnecting from the world slowly, bit by bit. As each day passed, I felt less and less like I was a part of here. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live, and it's a really shitty void to be stuck in. I didn't want to be around people, and I had so much on my plate that I couldn't socialize and I couldn't be around people. And as much as I hated being like that, I just kept pulling away and not wanting any help. I'm not the type of person that asks for help. I'm actually the type of person that tries my best not to. And I try the best to go by my own means. So if I'm struggling and I don't have enough for food, I will literally eat porridge. If I only have $5 to my name for a week, I will eat porridge every single fucking day, rather than go to someone for help or ask anyone anything. That's the type of person I am. And I just, with my infusions, I mean, they're not overly painful, and they're just a little bit annoying and whatnot, but all it is me going in there, or I say all it is, but a lot of people would be disgusted by this, is that my veins get flushed, some water through it, saline as well, I think. Is it saline? Or is it's probably just sterile water flushed through, Thai flushed through my system, then a water flush to make sure the veins don't get blocked, and then I'm sent home. And that's great, but the next day, usually I need way more sleep than I normally would. I did notice that my sleep has gotten way better, even without my vitamin D sometimes, which I sometimes can't afford. I sleep roughly, I think it's about, at bare minimum, 6 hours, and at maximum, I think I sleep about 12 hours. Now, the day after my infusion, I generally have to sleep about 12 to 14 hours. I say maximum 12 on average, but so basically, I have had appointments after the day that I've had to cancel. I've had therapy. I've been actually going to therapy for something that I didn't even realize was a big part of my life. Not many people know this. I lived with my mother until I was 12 years old, and then she voluntarily placed me in foster care. And yeah, the worst years of my life that I ever had were in foster care. And yeah, I thought, yeah, you know, these are shittiest years of my life, and I buried them deep down, and I didn't really deal with it. And then I went to therapy recently because I was diagnosed with PTSD when I was about 16, which is pretty fucked up, but it is what it is. I was re-diagnosed this year because my trauma had been reactivated to a point that it really, really caused a lot of issues in my life. And I realized a lot of things that have been happening have been because I've been getting triggered. And I didn't even know. And that on top of depression and anxiety comorbid with not only MS as well as the PTSD. And neither of these have been addressed, and I've been a fucking moron, and then I'm coming to terms with a lot of things that have happened in my life. And I have been seeing a counselor, therapist, you name it, just to figure out what's wrong. Something's wrong. I know something's wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. Now, I've been receiving therapy that is trauma-based. This deals with a lot of figuring out what my triggers are, figuring out when I'm being triggered. And this isn't just, oh my god, I'm triggered by a word or a color because it's offensive and blah 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 blah. This isn't Tumblr triggered. This is actual trauma-related triggering. Now, what happens is, in my brain, it's almost like a rubber band snaps. And my brain says, you're in danger, get out of here, in whatever way you can. Protect yourself. Now, most people have the flight, fight, or freeze responses. Me, personally, mine tends to be freeze. This is where I go completely still, and I guess you could say play dead. My body freezes up. And the way I fight tends to be I yell, because my bark is bigger than my bite. I am rather timid in some ways, and I'm rather fragile, and I'm not violent. I don't believe in violence. Now, with this, if I can't freeze, I tend to run, or flee, flight, flee, either way. If I can't run though, if I'm being held down or hurt, and I can't get out of a situation, then I fight. Now this is the last response. This is nothing that I can actually control. These are just my natural responses. Every human has these responses. I was taught about them when I was younger, but I didn't really look into it that much, but now it's being explained to me in a way that I get. Now, what happens when I fight, it's pretty bad. It has to be fucking horrible. It has to be actually life-threatening before I fight. Now, I'm wondering about a lot of my personality traits, why I withstand such abusive relationships. I've had abusive relationships in my past. And why I allow toxic people in my life. Why I have all these connections to people who aren't good for me. And turns out that speaking to my therapist, it turns out that something I didn't even realize was happening was that when I was younger, I was actually severely neglected and abused by my own mother. I didn't think it was anything bad. And a puzzle piece that's floating, dangling above my head right now is the fact that I withstand abusive relationships because from a young age, I was taught that if you withstand the abuse, then you will be loved. And that is not something that you should teach any child. Because my mother would scream at me, but then she'd grab me and hug me, and it would be like, okay, this is worth her yelling at me. And my mother did hit me, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, it was discipline. But the thing about my mother is she denies a lot of this, and this is just, it's really hard for me. I gave her one last chance recently. I'm just like, I finally told her about all the things I endured in foster care, because she did voluntarily put me in foster care, and she did know what was going on. She was very, very aware of it. But she didn't help me. And it was always something that I could do. I could be a perfect child for her to take me back, and no child is perfect. For fuck's sake, I was, 12 years old? I was on the brink of puberty. I was going to be a little rebel. Everyone starts to have a bit of attitude and learn who they are, learn themselves at 12 years old and up. But she couldn't handle that for whatever reason. But I tried to tell her. This is what I went through. And I wasn't blaming her. I was saying, Mom, this is what I went through and this is how it affected me. And this is what stuck with me to this day. And I'm dealing with a lot. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, she'd be a bit different and be all, okay, Ray, I'm sorry that you went through that. But instead, she turned it around to be about herself. Instead, she's all like, well, I couldn't cope. You're a difficult child. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, wow, okay, so you're blaming me for what I went through because of you. And I didn't even say that it was because of her. I don't need to be told I'm a difficult child, or I was a difficult child. I have autism. I, of course, was a difficult child. No child is perfect either. It's like, you couldn't cope, then why the fuck did you spread your legs, have sex, which you enjoyed, without protection because apparently I was planned, and then you had me. And you're like, oh, god damn, this doll is annoying because it cries. I'm sorry if I get a bit aggro there. But, that's how I feel. If you want a child, if you tell a child their whole life that they were wanted and planned, you don't have a right to say that they were difficult. Because every child is difficult. If you want a child, you have to face the fact they could be disabled, they could be quadriplegic, they could have special needs. If you want a child, you face the consequence of that being a possibility. Now, I tried my hardest. I tried my absolute hardest, to let this woman back into my life, even though she'd done all these horrible things to me my whole life, even though she was a drug addict for a majority of my younger years, even though she chose my stepfather over me when she put me in foster care. And I gave her a chance. And immediately, it was flung back at me like it was my problem. Now, to get back on track, in therapy, I'm dealing with a lot of the reality of what I went through as a child. I've been asked a lot about my trauma, and there's a lot of digging going on. And it's very hard because it's like having an old wound that healed on the outside, on the surface. And then someone comes along and tears the first layer of skin off. It's like ripping off a scab that has been at least a few layers of skin of healing, And someone's torn that right open and I'm bleeding all over again. And this is the hard part, is I'm dealing with Sabri infusions, which are making me a bit emotionally crooked. And then I'm also digging in old wounds, and it's very, very painful for me. But it's necessary, because if I don't do this, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, my brain is very much broken, and I'm not a stable person. I mean, I'm stable as I can function, but I'm not stable as if I don't understand when I'm being triggered, I don't understand if I'm going to run away, freeze up, or, God forbid, if I fight. Now, I just thought I'd put that out there. That's why I'm not around, really. And that's why my posts on my channel looked somewhat suicidal, because I was thinking about it. I didn't actually do it. Now, this is because, I was on that brink where I was teetering on the should I, shouldn't I? And no, I didn't reach out to anyone because I didn't actually think I'd do it. But I was actually starting to contemplate it. I was thinking pills, I don't know, because I couldn't think of anything that would actually kill me. And I was thinking, I could cut, so it was the typical in the bathtub draining of blood, blah, 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 bleed out. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know if there are people who are actually suicidal on this channel. I don't want to give them ideas. I mean, on this watching this channel. I don't want to give anyone ideas. And of course, guns are outlawed in Australia, and blah blah blah, etc., etc. This goes on, and I was just starting to, just starting to flirt with suicide, as they call it. But I didn't do it. Because someone asked me, hey, are you okay? And it's interesting enough because Are You Okay Day was the whole thing was around soon after that. They asked me if I'm okay, and I couldn't answer. It's like words wouldn't come out. Because my whole life I've just said, yeah, I'm okay, but I was burying it so deep inside me that I wasn't. That I forgot and lost touch with what it's like to actually reach out for help, because I've never had to, or rather, I've had to, but I've never done it, because it just wasn't priority. I wasn't anyone's priority. I wasn't even a priority in foster care. And it was easier in my life just to pretend I was okay and just keep moving on. Fill my life with hobbies and all these kind of things. And it got to the point where, I was that depressed that I haven't been actually having any hobbies. I wasn't even playing games or reading books or anything. I was literally, the only thing I'd do is like stare at the computer and scroll through Facebook or something and maybe play some Farmville. This was like last year. And I'd work. And that was probably about it. And I'd probably argue with someone. I don't know. Or I'd watch a couple shows, but I was fussy over whether I don't know, I didn't want to watch a show and start to enjoy it, but then just fall asleep halfway through an episode. But I was trying to do this thing called repairing, so I'm getting a little better. Anyway, I'm getting off track again. So someone showed up. Like, someone asked me, and I said, I'm not. I said, I'm alright, but I'm not okay. Pretty much, I sent them. I couldn't write it in words. I couldn't actually write it in words. So what I did what I could. Some videos I'd watched earlier, I sent them lyrics, because that is how I communicate to people. And the reason why, and I figured that out now, the reason why music is so important to me is because there was 18 months of my life but I wasn't really allowed to speak about how I felt. And so I listened to music. And that was the way that anyone could tell that I wasn't okay, was because I was listening to music. I share my feelings via lyrics and via sounds. That's just how I am. I'm very audio. And they showed up, they really lifted my spirits. And I tell you what, as much as they may not even, but I keep thanking them, but I don't think they really get how grateful I am. It's really hard. Like, God, guys, if you could just understand that you're dragging, it's like burning your leg and then ripping it through, dragging it through gravel. It's really painful inside to deal with this shit. And yeah, this person who wasn't a friend at the time, they weren't an enemy, but they weren't a friend. They showed up and they asked if I was okay, and they cheered me up and we joked, and that was good. And I showed them toffee, and so there you have it. And then soon after that, I started school, and that really gave me something to look forward to. Unfortunately, I went on holidays, and I know I'm weird because I went on holidays, and so now I'm going back to school tomorrow, actually. Let me just check if it's tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I'm going back tomorrow, and it's something to look forward to. Unfortunately, with Tysabri, it's made my sleep pattern go all weird, but yeah. So this is why the channel is now Rip Ray, or Rest in Peace Ray. I think Rip Ray sounds pretty cool, to be honest, and I was thinking of making it more of a channel that has a bit of everything in it, not having one thing. Because obviously I'm not riding my motorbike right now, but we'll see how I go in about 12-ish days if I can book it. Because I should be able to get some money soon. And, I mean, I've got quite a bit saved up as well, so I can get my motorbike license finally. I mean, that's something I really, really, really want to do, is ride a motorbike. you know, someone or some people have said to me, Monday you're going to be obsessed with motorbikes, and you then you'll understand. And they were so good at predicting what I'm gonna be like, because now I actually look at YouTube videos with motorbikes, and I drool over motorbikes, and I scroll through buy, swap, and sell, and I look at motorbikes too. And this isn't fair because I wanted to be right so bad, but it turns out they were. And I don't know, and it's the same with PC gaming. I thought, there, yuck, it's not my thing, because I like having a controller. But now I find I gravitate towards the PC a bit more to play games, and not my consoles. So I'm an all-round casual gamer. I enjoy games on most platforms. And I've been showing some footage of different games. I do play some casual games like Farm Together, and I do play some less casual games like Dishonored. I play some pervy games, but the reason I do that is probably because it's like a reward-based system, which I'm very good at doing. I have also been a vegetarian now for a few months, and I do not miss meat. I take lactase now, so I can actually eat dairy, and that has freed my life up so much because now I'm not paying all that extra for soy milk in my coffee if I want to buy a coffee. Or if I get these like $2 deals from a McDonald's app that lets me get a $2 coffee in mocha or something, and I get that, and that's okay. As well as, I've thought of all these different recipes that I can make that are vegetarian. I actually really enjoy tofu. It takes a little bit to get used to with most people, but I quite enjoy it. And I've never been healthier. I'll just put it that way. I've cut down my carbs a little bit, and I've never been healthier. I'm currently saving for, license, tattoo, and being vegetarian helps because I can literally live off $25 every few days for food. Anyways, guys, I guess that's it. I just kind of wanted to make a video. I wanted to make something a bit better than this, but I didn't get to, and I've hidden a lot of videos on my channel that didn't really have much interesting stuff in it, but I've kept them private for myself in case I want to use the footage later. I plan to make another channel eventually. I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but I never do it. I plan to get back into my art a bit more. I plan to do a lot of things. Oh yeah, also something interesting happened. There is someone on IVU who said that they think that I use a voice changer. Now this is interesting because no, what the hell? My friends have heard me on a phone, on a microphone, on video, in call on a phone. It's just ridiculous. I would not go to that length to have my voice changed digitally. My voice is naturally like this, and it goes up and down, and it's not that deep, and blah blah blah. But my dad has actually a very very high voice, and I'm glad my voice is deeper than his. And I think my voice is actually deeper than my brother's. One of them at least. Anyway, so I think that's funny. I think really, really funny. They're a fucking moron, but hey, whatever. Man, I have so much to talk about on my channel, but it's actually not to do with just myself. So I look forward to things in the future, somewhat. I'm enjoying my life. By the way, if anyone, okay, let's put it out there. People have asked me, do you plan to, date anytime soon? And I've said no. And they asked me why. And I said, because I want to be alone to realize who I am. I want to do this for me. I've been attached to other people since I was 18 years old. I never got to be Ray. Like, when I was 12, I was dumped into foster care and I couldn't be myself from then on. My whole life, like with my family, I had to be someone else because the me wasn't accepted. And it's like foster care, and then when I finally got the chance to grow and be myself, I was in a relationship for 5 years, and then I was out of that relationship, but I still live with him. And then I was in a relationship online, and I didn't want to get into another relationship, but I did. And now I just want to be me. And as shitty as it is for people who have, feelings for me, and I feel really bad for it, but I really need to just be me. And people ask me what my sexuality is, and believe it or not, guys, I don't have a sexuality. I actually, I don't find people sexually attractive. I know, like, it's pretty bad, but I don't really feel sexual attraction for another human being until I get to know them. And I know people are like, that's demisexuality. No, it's not. I mean, I actually don't see them as sexually attractive. I don't really see them as anything. I see, I guess, somewhat pretty or whatever, but I don't go gaga over it. When I'm in a relationship with someone, I will find that person somewhat sexually attractive, but it's more because I find them attractive. Like, I've dated people because I find them attractive. It's because I find them attractive personality-wise that I will have a sexual relationship with them. And that's just how it is. So I guess you could say I'm kind of discovering who I am in that matter. And when it comes to gender, I just don't care. That's why I've dated males, that's why I've dated females. I mean, I just don't care. I mean, personally, I probably feel more comfortable emotionally dating a male, but I'm not going to dismiss a female. But that doesn't mean I'm bi, and that doesn't mean I'm, this brand new, ooh, you're pansexual. No, I'm just, I guess you could say I'm grey asexual, because I can feel sexual attraction, but it's very, very, very rare. So anyways, there's a tidbit for you guys. So yeah, like and subscribe this channel if you want to hear more jargon from me in future. And I hope that you enjoy your week. Ciao!
Fight back.